All right, so you send this over, and I gotta say, this Kindred Soul Search thing on YouTube, it really got me thinking.
Yeah,
They're talking about seasons, right? But it's not just like, oh, the leaves are changing, time for pumpkin spice lattes.
right.
It's more like they're looking at how those natural cycles we see outside, like the whole bursting spring, then that hot summer vibe, then everything kind of gets reflective in fall, then winter, quiet.
Yeah.
They're saying that kind of mirrors what we all go through, in our own
Oh,
lives.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a really neat analogy. And this person, I don't know, they just use such like vivid language. It's like you can practically picture them like standing there soaking in this Pacific Northwest spring morning
Yeah.
while they're recording. They even talk about like delicate flowers blossoming. And they call it, get this, a siren song to countless insects.
Wow.
I know, right? Super evocative.
Yeah, you can practically hear like the buzzing and everything.
Right.
Okay, but here's where I thought it got really interesting. So they're painting this gorgeous spring scene, right? But then they're like, oh, yeah, but scorching summer's right behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a little reminder that nothing lasts forever, even the good stuff.
Right.
What do you think about that? Like connecting it back to, how we experience things.
Well, I think what they do so well is they use that whole observation that nothing lasts forever to talk about how important it is to be present. Like, really savor the moment while you're in it. They even mention how much they enjoyed, like, their weekend, just soaking it all in. Because let's be real, they know that busy work week is coming. It's like their own little winter after a taste of spring.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and it got me thinking, like, how often do we actually let ourselves just totally be in those periods of joy, of abundance, when they're actually happening?
That's a good question.
Or are we always like stuck looking ahead, already bracing ourselves for that next season of stress or, responsibility or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. Guilty as charged. I do that all the time.
Right.
Okay, so they're saying, hold on, instead of rushing ahead to the next thing, maybe we should be more like, what was it, plants in the fall. Remember that part? I loved that. They were talking about how plants are like storing away nutrients to get ready for the
Yeah,
winter.
you're getting ready. Yeah.
Okay, but what does that even look like for us? Like storing away joy. It feels kind of abstract, right?
Right. Yeah. I think it's about like actively cultivating positive emotions,
Yeah. Yeah.
and experiences so we can kind of like draw on them later when things maybe aren't so great.
Okay.
It's like you know how an amazing vacation memory can just like totally power you through a tough week at work,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
how learning a new skill, anything
Yeah.
really, can give you this boost of confidence even when everything else is super stressful. It's that kind of thing.
So it's less about like clinging to these fleeting moments of happiness and more about building up those inner resources that'll actually sustain you over time.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And it's not even just about like individual resilience either. They get into this whole thing about feeling connected to, and I'm quoting here, countless lives, seen and unseen, just from watching how the seasons change.
Wow.
Like they're recognizing our place in something way bigger than ourselves,
Yeah.
This whole flow of growth and change that connects every single one of us.
Okay, so we're talking about being present, we're talking about building resilience, and now we're talking about tapping into the sense of like interconnectedness.
Hmm.
And it all started with watching the seasons change.
Amazing, right?
I am hooked. You've totally changed how I think about a Tuesday afternoon. Forget about the changing leaves.
I know, right?
It's funny, right? We talk about nature and it's all like pretty flowers and sunshine and stuff. But this person, they're real about it. They're like, don't forget about the kind of rough stuff too. The heat, those crazy storms that pop up, or even just those times when it's like nothing's happening, everything's dormant.
Right.
And they're saying those parts, like the not so fun parts, they're important too. It's all part of the cycle.
Yeah, for sure. They totally acknowledge that even nature has its struggles.
Yeah.
And it made me think about how we deal with those kind of winter times in our own lives.
Oh, interesting.
We know those tougher times, they're going to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's inevitable. But are we really like getting ready for them?
Yeah.
Building up that resilience? Or are we caught totally off guard when they hit?
It's like, okay, knowing a blizzard might come is one thing,
Yeah.
but like, do you actually have your snow shovel ready?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
It's exactly, 100%. And that's where I think this whole storing away joy thing it gets really practical.
Okay.
Because it's not just about bracing yourself for the bad stuff. It's about actually building up those like reserves of positive emotions, of experiences. Remember they were talking about like really enjoying that weekend. It's kind of like that. We can draw on those good times later.
Okay, I'm really digging this whole joy pantry for the soul idea. But how do we actually do that? Like, am I supposed to be like hoarding good memories, like emergency candles or something?
I don't think it's about like frantically collecting experiences,
Yeah. Okay.
It's more about just like being aware,
Mm-hmm.
noticing and appreciating the good stuff that's already there in your life, even with all the chaos,
Yeah.
like really savor that first cup of coffee. Or when you're talking to somebody you care about, really listen, connect with them. Or just take a sec to watch the sunset. Those little things, they might not seem like much, but they could be huge later on when you're feeling drained.
So it's about like really paying attention to those good moments, letting them kind of sink in so they can sustain you later.
Totally. It's all about building up those internal resources,
Mm.
that strength, that joy. You know, those are the things that'll help you get through all those ups and downs that just kind of come with life.
Makes you wonder, like, what if we could change how we think about those winter times? What if instead of dreading them, we like actually saw them as a chance to rest, to think, even to come back stronger?
Yeah.
Kind of like in nature, right?
Yeah.
Even when everything seems totally still, there's all this potential building up.
Absolutely. I think that's what's so cool about this idea of like syncing up with nature. It's not that we pretend the hard stuff isn't there. It's that we get that every season has a purpose.
Yeah.
And each stage, even the tough ones, they all have their own beauty, their own wisdom.
It's wild, right? We talk about being resilient, and it's always like, oh, it's this thing inside you, this strength. But this whole reflection, it's like, hello, we're not separate from nature. We're part of it, the whole thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And it's like in nature, things are always growing, but then they also like decay, break down. It's all connected. And it's the same for us.
Yep.
Sometimes we have tons of energy, things are abundant, and then there are those times when we got to like go inward a bit.
Yeah.
It's about getting that, those rhythms and figuring out how to move through them.
Okay, so say someone's listening and they're like, all right, this is all super interesting, but what do I do with it? How do I actually like live this whole seasonal thing?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I'd say start paying attention. Like really notice what's going on with your own energy, even your mood, how it changes throughout the year.
Okay.
Like, are there times when you're just like naturally more creative, more social? You want to be out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then are there times when you're like, nope, I need quiet time, got to think, got to recharge. You know, getting in tune with those kind of signals, your own personal cues, that's how you figure out your own like internal seasons.
So instead of trying to fight it, like when you feel that low energy coming on, you roll with it.
Exactly. Like if, every year, middle of winter, you just kind of crash, maybe that's not the time to start a huge project at work.
Right. Or have like 5 social engagements every night.
Right. Maybe that's when you got to double down on the self-care.
Yeah.
Do things that make you feel good. Reconnect with what really matters. Like nature uses winter to chill, to get ready for spring. We can use those quieter times to recharge too. Get ready for our own next chapter.
So it's not that we have to be on all the time. It's more like we got to honor those natural rhythms. Times to go for it. Times to just be.
Exactly. And honestly, I think just realizing that we have those internal seasons, it can be so freeing.
Yeah.
We don't have to put so much pressure on ourselves to always be productive, always
Mhm.
be on. We can appreciate each part of the journey.
Mhm.
Each season has its own thing to offer.
This has been great. I feel like I get this whole kindred soul search thing on a totally different level now. And not just that, like my own life too.
That's fantastic. It's what it's all about, right?
It really is. So as we wrap this up, what's like the one thing you hope people listening, what do you want them to walk away with?
I hope they remember that they're a part of nature, not separate from it, but part of this amazing, complex, always changing thing.
Yeah.
And by paying attention to those rhythms, the ones inside and the ones all around us, I really do think they can find so much.
Yeah.
More connection, more purpose, maybe even a little more peace.
So well said. And on that note, I think I'm going to go find my metaphorical snow shovel. Maybe stock up my joy pantry a little bit, just in case. Never know when that next winter might hit. We've given you the starting point, the first clue in this intriguing mystery. Now it's your turn to take the reins. Head over to kindredsoulsearch.com and see what you uncover. What could Kindred Soul Search mean to you? Maybe jot down your thoughts, your impressions. Consider this deep dive your launch pad, the first step on a journey of discovery.